In this Word demo, we will look at many ways to add and delete rows and columns in a table, as well as some for merging them. You may recognize this table from the previous video. The easiest way to add or delete elements of a table is simply to right-click on the table and choose from the options in the pop-up menu. Here we can delete cells, insert columns to the left or right, rows above and below, insert cells, or insert a whole nested table. You can also delete cells and split cells. Change the borders and shading and other table properties. You see many options in here, but in this video we're talking about the adding and deleting. So I will try one. Insert a row above. And we see that it captured the entire row as opposed to adding just a row within this spanning head. We'll try that again one row lower. So right-click, insert row above, and now we get just the row as part of that merged stub. Similarly, I'll click on another row here and then right-clicking, select Delete Cell. And it asks me if I want to shift the rest of the cells left or up or delete the entire row or entire column. We'll try to see how the effect is when I say delete the entire column, because this column doesn't go all the way to the top. Select Delete Entire Column and click OK. And we lost a whole whack of this complex table, which is an unlikely desire, so I will simply undo and get the whole rest back. Another method is to go to the Table Layout ribbon, which appears when the cursor is inside a table. And here I can, in the Rows and Columns area, ask Word to insert a row above or below, or insert a column left or right. So let's try inserting a row above, and we got that same effect before. And we'll try inserting a column left. And we got a column with the maximum number of rows as mirrored in this middle column. You'll learn more about how to manipulate those cells and the styles in the formatting video. You can also work on an entire row or column by placing the mouse pointer outside of the table, either to the left or above. There's on the left, here's above. You see how it changes to an arrow? Now I can select an entire column, and I can use the keyboard shortcuts to delete that. Or, if I undo, I can even copy and paste. It again gave me the maximum number of rows, so you can see how it's a starting point, maybe not an end point. You can tell that I'm going to delete this so that I can show you more things. Another way to add a row is to click on the right side of a table, and you can see the little cursor flashing right here, very thin beside the right border. Now if I simply press the Enter key, it will add a row there. You saw that expand. Similarly, here I'm clicked in this row, there's no contents in it, in this cell. If I simply press the right arrow key, that moves the cursor to outside of that row. And if I press the Enter key, I get an entirely new row, exactly like the one that I just pressed Enter on. I can even try that at the end. Use the arrow key to go outside the table, press Enter, and I've gotten an extra row with some merged formatting. Maybe got me in the right direction, but maybe not what we wanted. You can tell that an entire row is selected because the right edge is highlighted in that selection color. My selection color happens to be set to this kind of salmon. Otherwise, you see just cells selected, not the entire row. There's no shading on the right-hand side. Up in the table layout ribbon, there is a button called Eraser. What this erases is not borders, but actually divisions between cells. So for example, if I drag it over this line, it turns red what it's going to delete. And now I have one cell instead of two cells with an invisible line. Do it again here, drag over this vertical line. It turns red to show me what will be deleted. And now I have, again, one big cell. So this is merging cells, not just erasing border lines. It's actually erasing the division between cells. But that can be really handy if you want to do a whole bunch at once, like that. The eraser button can even delete entire rows. It's captured those two rows, and I see a left border is now in red, as well as the right border. And if I let go, it's gotten rid of all of those rows. So it can delete whole rows or whole columns, as well as just merging cells. Note that if the bottom edge isn't selected, it simply merges the cell, as opposed to making sure that all of those borders turn red. I'm undoing here so you can see it again. Here's a row. I've selected that top edge, and you can see the top and right borders are red. That gives me one whole cell merging, versus making sure that both the left and right borders are selected. Also up here beside the eraser button is a button called Draw Table. Now this does the same as what we saw on the insert ribbon for table and draw. See how it's already selected? I'll go back to the layout ribbon. There's the Draw Table button. And now I can draw divisions on the table where I want them, just as we did in the How to Make a New Table video. So between the Draw Table and the eraser, you can merge and add new cells to your table. If I select Draw Table from the Insert ribbon, like here, this works the same way. For more tips on making the most of Word while you edit, drop in at eiw365.com. Or pick up the self-study workbook at the same place for more in-depth instruction and dozens more demos like this.